Poland may ground and arrest Putin before his summit with Trump. Current line of contact with Russia should be starting point of negotiations. And how US Treasury Secretary urges Europe to lead economic pressure on Russia. The latest news next. Poland has announced the possible arrest of Russia's Vladimir Putin if his plane crosses the country's airspace during a flight to Budapest for a summit with US leader Donald Trump, Reuters reports. Polish Foreign Minister Radosław Sikorski announced the possible arrest of Putin.
I cannot guarantee that an independent Polish court won't order the government to escort such an aircraft down to hand the suspect to the court in The Hague.
An existing warrant from the International Criminal Court in The Hague obliges ICC member states to arrest Putin if he crosses their borders.
I think the Russian side is aware of this. And therefore, if this summit is to take place, hopefully with the participation of the victim of the aggression, the aircraft will use a different route.
Hungary, where the summit is planned, has promised Putin that he will be able to enter the country for the summit and return home afterward. To avoid traveling over Ukraine, the Russian delegation will need to fly through the airspace of at least one European Union country. All EU countries are members of the ICC, although Hungary is in the process of withdrawing from the court. Back in 2023, the International Criminal Court in The Hague issued an arrest warrant for Russia's Vladimir Putin, although Russia subsequently stated that it did not recognize the ICC's decision. The court in The Hague accuses Putin in particular of war crimes against Ukraine and its population and obliges ICC member states to arrest the criminal at the earliest opportunity. There is no diplomatic immunity for war criminals. Not anymore, not in 2025, not in Europe. Vladimir Putin, the man responsible for the brutal invasion of Ukraine, the mass deportation of children, the bombing of civilian infrastructure, the murder of innocent people, is not a leader on a state visit. He is a wanted fugitive indicted by the International Criminal Court for war crimes. And it's about time the world started treating him accordingly. The idea that a man with an active ICC arrest warrant can casually jet-set his way to Budapest for a friendly summit with Donald Trump is not just grotesque, it's a test of the international community's backbone, of Europe's legal system, and of whether Western democracies are willing to trade justice for photo opportunities. The Kremlin confirmed that the meeting between Russian Foreign Minister Sergei Lavrov and US Secretary of State Marco Rubio had been postponed and gave its own explanation. However, the Center for Countering Disinformation believes that Russian dictator Vladimir Putin seems to be afraid to travel to Budapest, according to Russian media and CCD head Andriy Kovalenko. What Russia said. Deputy Foreign Minister of the Russian Federation, Sergei Ryabkov, commenting on reports about the postponement of the talks, said that the meeting between Lavrov and Rubio allegedly required additional preparation. According to him, it is impossible to postpone something that has not been agreed upon. Reaction of the CCD. As noted by the head of the Center for Countering Disinformation, Andriy Kovalenko, Russian dictator Vladimir Putin is likely afraid to travel to the Hungarian capital for a meeting with US President Donald Trump. It seems Putin is afraid to go to Budapest, he wrote. Earlier, CNN reported that the expected meeting between Lavrov and Rubio, scheduled for this week, has been postponed. According to the channel, the parties have different views on the possible end to the war in Ukraine. Because of this, journalists suggest US President Donald Trump's plans for a personal meeting with Vladimir Putin could also fall through. On October 16th, Trump held a phone conversation with Putin, after which he announced that he would meet with the Kremlin dictator in Budapest to discuss the possibility of ending this inglorious war between Russia and Ukraine. After that, Hungarian Prime Minister Viktor Orban confirmed the start of preparations for the Trump-Putin meeting in the Hungarian capital. The current line of contact with the Russian Federation should be the starting point for negotiations. At the same time, Ukraine must be in the strongest possible negotiating position before, during, and after any ceasefire, according to Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky and European leaders.
We strongly support President Trump's position that the fighting should stop immediately, and that the current line of contact should be the starting point of negotiations. We remain committed to the principle that international borders must not be changed by force.
It is reported that Russia's delaying tactics have repeatedly shown that Ukraine is the only party truly serious about peace. Everyone can see that Russian dictator Vladimir Putin continues to choose violence and destruction.
Therefore, we are clear that Ukraine must be in the strongest possible position before, during, and after any ceasefire. We must ramp up the pressure on Russia's economy and its defense industry until Putin is ready to make peace.
The statement also notes that Ukrainian allies are developing measures to utilize the full value of Russia's frozen assets. The leaders are expected to meet this week at the European Council and within the coalition of the Resolute format to discuss how to continue this work and further support Ukraine. The United States supports the achievement of lasting and sustainable peace in Ukraine and expects Europe to take decisive action to increase economic pressure on Russia, U.S. Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent says. Following talks with European Commissioner Valdis Dombrovskis, Bessent stressed the importance of increased G7 economic pressure against Russia to speed up the end of the war. He also stressed the need for a unified global response to China's irresponsible export restrictions and the importance of diversifying global supply chains.
I underscored America's commitment to a lasting, durable peace in Ukraine and the need for Europe to take the lead on increased G7 economic pressure against Russia.
He added that the US and its allies must China's reckless imposition of export controls and work to strengthen their sustainable supply of critical goods. About US position on reparations to Ukraine at Russia's expense. Earlier, Bloomberg reported that the US did not support the use of frozen Russian assets to help Ukraine. According to the agency, US officials at the IMF meeting in Washington last week told their European partners that they would not join the initiative for now. Last week, European Commissioner for Economy Valdis Dombrovskis said that the US had expressed support for the IMF and European Union initiatives aimed at financing Ukraine with frozen Russian assets. According to the European Commission, about $5 billion is blocked in the US, while in Europe it is about 210 billion euros. On October 23rd, the European Council will meet in Brussels to discuss the use of frozen Russian assets to provide financial assistance to Ukraine in the coming years. Participants will hear from Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky. That's all for today. Thanks for watching this video. Support Ukraine, like and subscribe.